What do you think about Charlie Hebdo mocking the Syria Turkey earthquake? I mean, I don't think he was mocking,
It was mocking.
but it is. Is it mocking? I don't describe it as mocking, but so I will. Maybe you go first, and then I will tell you why I don't think it's
Okay,
mocking.
so as you know, and we were going to talk a lot about what happened in Turkey. This is a catastrophe of
Oh.
biblical proportions. Sorry for lack of a better term, but it's so gut wrenching. It's so heartbreaking. Let me show you this photo first. It was reported by Guardian as well, saying that this father was holding the hand of his daughter who was dying, and then Guardian said that she actually died, but then I read some other confirmed news stories that she was actually alive. He was just there for her company. And then there was another heart where it actually breaks your heart is they showed an earlier photo of her, of him and his daughter, where he's also holding her hand and she's alive and obviously, in happy days. Um, this is just a little glimpse of the kind of catastrophe and the tragedy that has befallen on these people. There's so many things that I want to say. There's so many philosophical points that I want to score. Imtiaz Mahmood actually scored a philosophical point where he said, "Where is Allah?" or something like that. I am all for, in moments like these, asking the big questions. I'm all for it. I'm all for, you want to make people think. When your loved one dies, that's the time when you actually ask the big questions. And well, that person was just there. Where did that person go? What happened? Why did God take him or her away from? I thought that when my grandmother died, and it set me on a journey. That, who knows, that probably 10 years later I lost my faith altogether. I get it. But then we see these video clips that are coming out of Turkey, mainly Turkey, not from Syria because of the sanctions and all that. It is simply gut wrenching. And I get it that we're only seeing, at the end of the day, we're having a bird's eye view. We're seeing that, okay, well, there's so many buildings that are just razed to the ground, and who knows how many thousands of people are underneath the rubble. We get that. And then to us, it becomes just a statistic. 3,000 people died, 4,000 people died. We don't know. And then we have this ability to become cold. I don't want to be that person. So as I said, I would want to talk about these things. I would want to say those things, but I won't, because we know this is not the time. Now come back to Charlie Hebdo. Charlie Hebdo says, what did they say? They said, I think the caption reads something like, "Picture of the day, no tanks needed." Now, some people said, so I criticized it. Can you share my screen, please? So I first said that this is beyond vile and disgusting. Charlie Hebdo, you're disgraceful, attention-seeking filth. I get it. You want to seek attention. You want to score points. You want to, like, hey, let's maximize the number of people we can offend. Okay, I get it, but this is not the time. Making fun of historical figures is fine, which is Muhammad. Fine, go for it. Make fun of him all you want. But then doing this at a time like this,
So the
when people
caption
are dying,
says the caption below says tanks are not even needed, right?
yes. So,
Right here. It is, thank you.
yeah. So now, this is why my immediate next tweet was this one. So what about this? Are you gonna make fun of this as well? This father too? Like, ha ha ha, who's this guy holding his hand? Like, I mean, what's the point of that? So I did a bit of digging, and I thought, okay, let me look into it. What is this? So apparently it's a reference to Kurdistan, where Turkey sent their armies and they razed their cities to the ground. And a lot of people died, etc. Obviously, that was an act of war. I get it. And then basically it was a reference to that. Some people say that it's a reference to shoddy workmanship of Turkey or shoddy engineering of Turkey. Okay, whatever case that is, it is still not the best time. There are people literally dying. At that time when that came out, there were people literally buried under the rubble. And they're hoping, and their relatives who are outside, they're hoping that maybe my child is still alive. Maybe my father or my mother is still alive. Maybe. And this is just cold and callous. I think this is pathetic, disgusting, and Charlie Hebdo should be ashamed of themselves.
Well, I disagree a lot. I think dark people should understand that dark humor is a tool that is used to bring attention to something. I mean, when you're using dark humor on something, you're not trying to make light of it. You're actually trying to use the irony or some really bitter form of humor as a way to, I don't know, highlight something. And I don't even know how this is making fun of it. Is showing how devastating the situation is. That is equivalent to, like, you're looking at a place that is war torn, and now on top of that you have an earthquake which is devastating people, and you're not putting all of this together. Like, these are people who
And
were
tanks are not
devastated.
needed. What does
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
What
like,
does that mean?
now that means, like, on top of, like, now look at this. Now, even without tanks, these people are devastated. Like, even without tanks, you have absolute destruction. Like, these people are experiencing destruction and
We
devastation with tanks, and now situation is so bad that you don't even need tanks for you to have caused so much misery, for you to have this much misery. I don't know how this is making fun of them.
Are you
I think
sure that's the only thing they meant? It's a very vague, subjective photo. You can
yeah.
make
So then
any.
why
You can make any.
if
Yeah.
it's vague
So
and okay, hold on, let me speak. If it's vague and subjective, then why are you saying they're making fun of it?
because it's callous, you're not going to make any references to Jews being put in the gas chambers. You're not going to be making any light of
Yes,
that
you do.
situation. No, you
Yes, you
shouldn't
do.
be. But
No, there's a lot of there are many Jewish comedians who do that. There are many comedians who do
okay,
that.
not
What are you talking
okay.
about?
the-
In fact, you should be doing it. That's the whole
You,
point of dark
no,
humor.
you should not be doing it when those Jews are dying at that very moment. Okay, this is right now. I'm okay with you. You want to make political points, philosophical points. You want to score those points, but just don't do it now while people are
No, no, no,
dying
no, no,
there.
no. Okay, I actually do it now. We need you to do it now.
No, I don't want
I
to do
mean,
it now.
okay, you don't do it, but I'm just telling you, I have no
I think that's
problem.
bad. That's
Okay,
bad.
fine. You think that?
That's
I'm just telling you
terrible.
my. Yeah. Okay. I heard what you think, Harris. Let me just tell you, on top of it, what I think. I think I'm actually very thankful to Charlie Hebdo, because how else would Charlie Hebdo cover something like this? Like, this is such a devastating disaster that we need maximum attention on it. And Charlie Hebdo is also, like, something that, and I noticed that some people are completely. I know people in my personal life that haven't even heard about this devastating earthquake. We need this to be shown everywhere. We need to make sure that every media is talking about this, because you shouldn't be able to escape this. I'm shocked at how something so devastating, people are not noticing that, and this earthquake even happened. So if I think, like, when it comes to making fun of or mock, this is vague enough for you to not even be guaranteed that this is making fun of it. So this is good that Charlie Hebdo at least is showing this in the way Charlie Hebdo covers things, so that it makes it more difficult for people to escape such an event. I'm actually very grateful for Charlie Hebdo for making sure that there is something about the earthquake in their publication. So thank you. That's what I think. I know you disagree, but I think this is
Yeah,
not making fun of it.
that's
I
a
don't think this is
stretch.
making light. I don't think this is making light of it at all. I think
I
this
think
is
that's a stretch.
No, I mean, you said yourself it's vague, so I don't know how you could interpret that
That's
this is
why,
making fun
because
of it.
there's a thing called sensitivity around death and destruction of people.
Yeah,
When
and not
when
talking about it would be very insensitive. So I'm
not
thinking
talking about it like this, you can talk about it. There's a million other ways to talk about it. You
more.
want to make a cartoon caricature, and
Yes,
you
in
want to say,
fact,
well,
that's the
tanks are
best
not
way to
needed.
talk. I think that's the best way to talk
Okay,
about it,
all right.
because you know why? Actually, because the
Yeah,
people
all
who are
right.
offended by this are now talking about the earthquake even more. So well done, Charlie Hebdo.
Really,
That
they're talking
yep,
more about this. No, they're not
yep.
talking about like that. You think that Charlie Hebdo did it because they had this
Uh,
terrible pain in their heart for the victims of Turkey and
that's not what I'm
Syria, and they
saying.
thought, okay, you know what,
That's a fallacy.
we need. Hang on a second, let me finish my point. We need no, because intent also matters. Why they did it, what they did.
Yeah.
What's the intent behind it? Okay, fine. Nobody's going to die by looking at it, and I sure as hell hope that the victims of this earthquake are not going to look at it and find this cold and this callous behavior of some people who so Charlie Hebdo's account, the building was attacked a few years ago in Paris. Imagine Muslims making, just saying that, oh, no armies needed to attack these pesky French who make our cartoons. Again, a lot of people would say, that's okay. Yeah, like you might say, yeah, that's okay. But it would be an insult to those who got killed in those attacks. At that very moment, sure, 5 years later, 10 years later, yeah, you can give a reference to it. I talk about it. I talk about some really tough things in the past, and I can say, hey, where's Allah? We talk about the story of Lot. We can even talk about the Holocaust, but not now. This is insensitive. I don't know. I think people are missing a sensitivity chip.
Right. So first of all, notice how I was trying to finish a point and you didn't let me finish, even though when you were speaking, you said, let me finish my point. I was in the middle of making my point and you stopped me. And then you stopped me to make a logical fallacy. You stopped me to say something that I didn't. I was trying to show you how effective this has been, right? Regardless of the intentions. I didn't say the intentions don't matter. I never claim intentions don't matter. But at that moment, I was looking at the consequences and the result, right? And then you said on my behalf that, oh, so you think that they did this for this, and I did not talk about their intentions. You put that in my mouth, and I wasn't saying it. What I was referring to, if you had let me finish, was about the actual results. The actual results is that when you offend people, they tend to talk about it. And the result has been, imagine if Charlie Hebdo had just put a page of like, oh, we are devastated by the earthquake in Turkey. That wouldn't get any attention. That wouldn't get much attention. This is now making more people are talking about the earthquake because people are offended. And what I care about is that less people able to escape the fact that this earthquake has happened in Turkey. And I think I'm happy with the results. And I also want to add this. You brought up a fantastic example. You're like, imagine if after the attack on the offices of Charlie Hebdo, people were making fun of it. People were making, dare I say, caricatures about the attack. Well, you know who did that? Do you know who did that, sir? Charlie Hebdo did that. Charlie Hebdo had cartoons and caricatures about the attack on Charlie Hebdo. So this is just their style. Again, if we're thinking making cartoons of a disaster means that Charlie Hebdo is dismissing it or making light of it, that would mean Charlie Hebdo would be dismissing or making light of the attack on their own staff.
Can you bring that up? What those cartoons were? I want to see that.
I can't. I don't know if I can show that.
Okay. That's fine. Give me a sec. Charlie Hebdo.
I remember the making the neck being cut out and the tongue coming out of the neck, making fun. That was a good one. There was a couple.
No, it's what's this little weapon which hurts us so much?
No, there was another one.
Yeah, there's another one.
There was a whole bunch.
Is coming out. There's a finger coming out of the Charlie Hebdo magazine. So it's
there was another one. There's another one where the head is cut off and the tongue is like going like to the.
That's fine. Yeah, exactly. So they're actually showing themselves as kind of victims in that. So they're not making light of that. They're actually making a good point.
Oh,
here,
so now
no. There's no oh my goodness, there is no freaking comparison. Making them look like as heroes in that one. Here, they're making a joke. They're saying, "Well, no tanks are needed." Ha! You can even interpret like this.
Where's the ha? Oh, you add in.
Of course, you can add in. Of course you can. Yeah, because you're being overly charitable and you're saying that, oh, this is not how I'm going to interpret it. This is how anyone would interpret it.
Okay.
That especially them having a history with Turkey and making a point over Kurdistan. And a lot of people have said that this is in reference to Turkey sending their tanks to Kurdistan. Right. So it's in reference to that. You sent tanks there. Well, here, no tanks are needed. God's going to take care of you or something like that. So this is just bad. It's in a bad taste. I don't know why you're trying to be so charitable.
Well, okay. So you cannot have it both ways. You say at the same time that it's vague enough for you to have any interpretation. Okay. And at the same time, you say that you are sure that this is meant to make light of the victims. These are contradictions, Harris. Either it's vague and you could have multiple interpretations, or it's obviously making light of it. To me, what I could be wrong, okay? My interpretation, the first time I saw it, was obviously this is comparing one devastation with another devastation. The devastation from the earthquake is comparable to a devastation from absolute war and chaos. That was the obvious interpretation for me. And if you were like, why are you being charitable? I thought that was a good thing. I thought that's what we do. We steel man the people who are we're considering to criticize. This is called arguing in good faith. Rather than strawmanning them and considering the worst take, you consider the best take. The best take for me to show is to show. I mean, and also clever with the vagueness. Maybe if the fact that you could think of, you are sending, you're bringing attention, and at the same time, if people want to be offended, it shows more about them rather than the message that is being sent. I don't think anybody. I think it's very, very presumptuous to assume that people are this monstrous. I think it's very unlikely that somebody that is working at Charlie Hebdo doesn't care about how many, like last time I checked, it was like 12,000 people had died, right? 12,000 of people who have died. We're assuming that they are making light of that. That is the most uncharitable. You're thinking, you're saying I'm being charitable? I don't even know a monster that big of a monster to think that humans' life lost to that scale is something to be made light of. I think you are being extremely uncharitable rather than me being too charitable. Anyways, that's just my take. But I do also want to people. Soha is saying, isn't this just a freedom of speech, guys? Soha, the freedom of speech thing is a matter of legality. When you judge something, if we're judging it as positive or negative, that's a separate topic for whether or not it should be legal to say it or not. Obviously, we're saying, and not just because something is free to say, that means it's a good thing to say. Yes, of course, free speech covers it. That's a completely different topic. But anyways, do you want to continue this discussion, or have we made both of us?
I think we've put forward our points. So the only correction I want to make is that maybe the word wasn't right about why you're being so charitable. Obviously, we should be charitable, but I think you're giving an undue benefit of the doubt. So I just found a reference to it. They've actually done that to Italy as well. Back in 2016, there was a terrible earthquake in Italy, and they made a cartoon, and they made dead Italians, and they drew a lasagna, and they put dead Italians, and then they're making fun of them as well. So I think
it's called dark humor.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's still pathetic. Dark humor, yeah, right. It's just bad, and it got sued. It got sued by Italy, and I haven't been able to read the whole article. It's on BBC. I'll put the link in the description. So I think it's just in bad taste. I could say that it's in bad taste. I don't think our humanity should fall that low. That if you think that this is how you're going to draw attention to a cause by making outrageous, disgusting, vile jokes about a situation, then I think your humanity is already dead, and maybe it's not worth preserving.
Okay, yeah. So for me to see that I'm being very generous with my charitability, I think you are claiming that these people have lost their humanity. Their humanity is dead.
Yes.
So I think you're actually my claim is that you are being extremely uncharitable. And for me to think this is so uncommon for people to just not care about other human lives, I think that's very unfair for us to be that uncharitable to someone's take. So, by the way, I just want to mention that.
Armin, but very quickly.
Let me. Go on.
No, on the same point, I want to ask. So you were saying that initially you thought that they're not making fun of the situation, and fair enough. That one is a little bit vague, and even though your interpretation seems a bit far-fetched, and my interpretation seems a bit more likelier, now it does more in in the case of this
Don't show
Charlie Hebdo's
something that
past
is.
record.
Be careful not to show something.
Yeah, no,
that
I'm not
could
gonna.
be-
I'm not gonna. No, I'm not gonna show
oh.
you the actual cartoon. I'm just gonna show you the BBC headline. So, besides, I mean, it's obviously not as bad as the one, that one. So, Charlie Hebdo sued by Quake Kid, a mattress, however you say it, over cartoon. So, in that one, they're actually showing dead Italians as lasagna. So. They want to draw outrage. They want to be as much outrageous as possible. So I think they are making fun of that. So, fair enough. You think that okay? So them keeping up with the tradition. They're logically consistent. They make fun of everyone. And initially, you saying that they're probably not making fun of it. But do you think that they're more likelier to be making fun of it than not making fun of it?
So the thing is, I think people need to be more familiar with the whole point of dark humor. Okay, the whole point of dark humor is to use something ironic or something laughable in the most devastating of situations. Okay, and there's two utilities to dark humor. First of all, it's a coping mechanism, and second of all, it's a way to make people swallow a very hard pill to swallow with having a sugar coating around it. So people are paralyzed when it comes to the amount of bad news that are coming at them. So they become so desensitized to it that they want to shut it off because of the accessibility of news. Consumption of that much bad news becomes so overburdening for some people that they just want to shut down the news for them to not to even be informed by it. So what dark humor does, it gives you the bad news and it just puts one very thin layer of sugarcoating around it so that makes it easier for you to consume that hard to swallow pill, right? And that is a very effective. And again, I know some people are going to be very offended by that sugar coating, but again, if the utility of it is that more people are going to be exposed to it, I say let it be. Even to me, I care less about the people who are offended by it. I care more about how widespread the news becomes, and whatever tools it takes for you to spread the news, I say go for it. To have your questions answered on the next live stream, become my patron today. You can do so with as little as $1 a month. Link in the description below.